You know, sometimes when you're scrolling through social media, you come across things that just don't sit right with you. And this one really hit me hard because it's about someone people know, someone who seems larger than life online. But the reality might be much darker than what we're being shown. I'm talking about Woah Vicki, the influencer who has made headlines for her outrageous content, pranks, and viral moments. But when you look closer at her situation, there's a lot more going on behind the scenes than anyone really realizes. Now, I know a lot of you remember the incident when she went to Nigeria and admitted to faking a kidnapping, and at the time, everyone laughed it off, treated it like a joke, and honestly, a lot of people didn't take her seriously after that. That alone should have raised a lot of eyebrows, because faking something that serious, pretending to be in danger, it's not just a joke, it's alarming and can be a reflection of deeper issues. But over the last few years, we've started noticing patterns, small hints in her behavior, streams and interactions that make you wonder if maybe what she was joking about then wasn't entirely far from the truth of what she's been dealing with since. People don't realize that what looks like drama or viral antics online can sometimes hide real danger. And in Woah Vicki's case, there are multiple signs pointing to her being under some form of control or influence, maybe even worse, possibly trafficked. You see, she's always been known for going live, for creating content that's meant to get attention, for living in this flashy, over-the-top online world. But when you start watching her more closely, you notice things that don't add up. There are men around her a lot of the time, following her closely, subtly guiding her movements, sometimes reading comments to her, almost like they're scripting her life. And it's not just casual presence, their body language, the way they interact with her, it's controlling, protective in a way that isn't normal for someone who's supposed to be independent and adulting on their own. And then there are the moments she slips, the little things that make you pause, like when she says she needs help taking her braids out. On the surface, it's nothing just a simple thing, but look at the comments underneath. People pointing out bruises, asking why no one is calling the cops, asking if anyone realizes what might really be happening. And it starts to feel really heavy because it's clear that even in these seemingly trivial moments, she's trying to tell her audience something without saying it directly, probably because she can't. Then there's the weird signals she's giving in her content, like when someone in the comments told her to wear red if she needed help, and she wore a really be happening. People dismissed it at first, but if you know the signs, that's exactly the kind of subtle communication someone in trouble might use. Someone who wants help, but can't ask outright. And there are other instances, like pointing to her neck if she needed assistance. Things that seem minor to an outsider, but are actually really significant if you've studied how people signal distress in difficult situations. And the more you watch her, the more you start seeing a pattern. These aren't isolated incidents. They're recurring, they build up, and they tell a story that most people aren't paying attention to. It's also important to understand that the online world makes this all more complicated. You see the highlights, the jokes, the viral moments, but behind the scenes, these creators are often being monitored, coached, controlled, sometimes even manipulated in ways that the average follower would never realize. And in Woah Vicki's case, you can see it in the way she reacts to certain people around her, like a man who's been identified as Father DMW5, an influencer in Nigeria. She's publicly praised him, called him my brother, said she respected and loved him. But if you watch how he interacts with her, how he corrects her, how he subtly directs her behavior, it doesn't feel like a casual friendship. It feels like someone has authority over her, someone she can't just say no to with Nigeria. And the thing is, Woah Vicki is an adult. She's been in this world for a while, so why would she need that level of control? And that's the disturbing part. You can start connecting the dots and see how someone who appears free online may actually be under strict oversight, under constant guidance, maybe even coercion. Her behavior on streams and live shows also tells a story. Sometimes she repeats phrases like "I enjoy myself" over and over, almost as if she's reassuring herself or sticking to a script. Other times she says things like, "I don't want to go back to America," or "Bye-bye, American people." And while it's easy to dismiss that as just playful or quirky, the repetition, the tone, the tension in her voice, it all starts to point to someone who may feel trapped or unsafe. And then you look at her reactions when certain people come close to her on camera. Her hands stay rigid at her sides, she doesn't move freely, her expressions are tense, not relaxed, and it's impossible not to notice that there's a deeper unease there, something that goes beyond just nerves in front of the camera. Another thing that's unsettling is the subtle identity shift. She's been referred to as Wafula in some posts instead of Woah Vicki, and at first glance that might seem like a simple name change for branding or social media purposes, but in situations where someone is being controlled or trafficked, changing a person's identity can be a tactic to erase their previous life, to make them forget who they were or separate them from their past autonomy. It's a psychological trick that's used to make someone more compliant, to make it easier to manipulate them, and when you combine that with the other signs, it really makes you wonder what's going on behind closed doors. You also can't ignore the wider context of the environment she's in. In 2023, a producer named Natalie Nunn, associated with the show Baddies, faced allegations of human trafficking. Other cast members came forward, petitions were created, and it was an eye-opening reminder that this kind of exploitation isn't just theoretical. It happens in entertainment spaces, in influencer networks, and in areas that we as fans might not think twice about. Woah Vicki being spotted in similar organizations or interacting with influential figures with murky reputations starts to paint a picture that's really concerning. She even filed a police report at one point, pressed charges, and yet she still ends up in environments where these patterns repeat. It makes you wonder if she's been able to fully escape or if she's constantly being pulled back into these circles. Watching her content now, it's easy to see why people are worried. In some live streams, she looks uncomfortable, anxious, like someone behind the camera is controlling what she says or how she responds. You can hear it too, subtle cues in the audio, someone laughing at the right moment, someone signaling for her to stay on script. And that's terrifying if you think about it, because it's not just about someone dictating her words, it's about someone dictating her behavior, her freedom, and possibly even her ability to make choices for herself. And this is compounded by the fact that she is in a different country, often far from family or a familiar support system, which makes her even more vulnerable to control, coercion, and exploitation. I can't stress enough how important it is to read between the lines here. It's easy to dismiss online antics, to assume that someone who posts flashy content is fine. But when you start piecing together live stream behavior, comments, patterns of repetition, body language, and the presence of controlling figures, it's clear that there's more going on than meets the eye. People have started going back through her old footage, looking at her interactions, watching her reactions to certain individuals, and it all seems to reinforce the idea that she might be under significant pressure, maybe even coerced into doing things against her will. Even when she tries to show she's safe, there are moments where you can see the tension, the hesitation, and it's impossible not to notice. The way she responds to certain prompts, the subtle gestures, even the way she moves when someone is near her. It all tells a story of someone who's not entirely free, someone who may be trying to protect herself while signaling for help in ways that only attentive viewers can catch. And then there's the psychological angle to consider. In some situations, people who are controlled or trafficked are manipulated in ways that make them reliant on their captors, through emotional manipulation or even through substances that alter brain chemistry. While we don't know all the details in Woah Vicki's case, the behaviors we observe could be indicative of psychological coercion, a subtle but powerful form of control. It's also worth noting how she navigates her online presence. She's savvy, she's aware, but there's a visible strain, a conflict between performing for her audience and complying with whoever may be guiding her offline. That duality, the tension between public persona and private reality, is classic in situations where someone is under undue influence. And the more you observe, the more the small details start adding up. The repeated red dress, the verbal cues, the body language, the presence of certain individuals around her. It paints a picture that can't be ignored. I think what really hits home is that this isn't just about online fame, money, or influence. Woah Vicki has all of that. She's successful, she's visible, she has resources, but even that doesn't make someone immune to manipulation or exploitation. In fact, it can make it worse, because the higher profile you are, the more people are interested in controlling access to you, in leveraging your influence. And if you combine that with the signs we've seen, subtle cries for help, controlled interactions, identity shifts, and the constant presence of influential figures, you start to realize that there's a serious situation here, one that goes far beyond pranks or viral content. And I want to be clear, this isn't speculation for the sake of gossip. These are real, observable behaviors that experts in coercion, manipulation, and trafficking look for. It's a reminder that online content doesn't always reflect reality, and that even people who seem larger than life can be struggling in ways that aren't visible on the surface. As followers, as a community, we have a responsibility to pay attention, to recognize when someone might be in danger, and to act where appropriate. This isn't about creating drama or jumping to conclusions. It's about being vigilant, being aware, and being ready to help if there's a genuine threat to someone's safety. The signs are subtle, yes, but they're there. And if we ignore them, we could be missing a chance to support someone who really needs it. Woah Vicki's situation is complicated, it's layered, and it's ongoing. She's trying to maintain her life, her brand, and her public persona, but the evidence suggests that she may not be entirely free to make her own decisions. Watching her streams, analyzing her interactions, and piecing together what we know about her environment paints a picture that is deeply concerning. And while she may be trying to reassure her audience and herself that everything is okay, the underlying tension, the signals for help, and the behaviors we observe tell a different story. Thanks for taking the time to watch and listen. I know this topic is serious, and it's important we pay attention and stay aware of what's happening online and around us. If you found this video helpful or eye-opening in any way, it really helps me out when you like the video. Sharing it can help more people understand the situation, and subscribing makes sure you don't miss any updates or future discussions like this. Your support means a lot, so hit like, share with friends, and subscribe to stay connected.